Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in? And you won't be angry? I will not be angry. Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby Normal.
This is the Abbey Normal Podcast, here to tell you that you're weird, and that's normal. Over the holidays, we drove out to Arizona to visit my in-laws, Grammy and Papa, brother Matt, and sister Jenny, plus my exuberant nephew Max and brilliant young goth niece Paige. They've been on the show once before in 2020, talking about online school, in the attendance required pants optional episode. But this time around, Max, the future social media influencer, wanted to be on the podcast to talk about something a bit more personal. So I agreed, and we sat down in his dad's big, tidy office to talk about real life as a 13-year-old.
My name is Max. I'm 13. I like to program. I'm in 8th grade.
Before we get to that convo, Max and I took a walk, and he had a soundtrack.
Ferrari, I say rah 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 rah. Shlu hello at the snarry. Da 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 da. Bitches blah 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 blah. Money za 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 za. My dog facing Snapchat party Luma means no. 我就说我呀呀，那我，你说呀个出爱的，谁也不知道。
How do you know this song? How? I don't get
Yes,
it.
is not, bitch. Yes, the thing is not. I wanna ride.
What is up with his obsession with Ukrainian pop music?
So I think where it started is he had this Instagram friend that maybe lived in the Phoenix area at some point, and now she doesn't, but she was from Ukraine. She was one of the people who fled, and he just attached himself to her really quickly. They became friends. And so again, because he's just an empathetic kid, he just really wanted to learn about her culture, and got super into learning the language and the music, and it just kind of has snowballed from there. His current man crush is President Zelensky.
I mean, hi, yeah.
So he loves President Zelensky. When he was talking to Biden the other day, we had it on. But he really is learning a lot of the language. He was listening to when he would speak Ukrainian, and then listening to the translator, and he's like, that translator's struggling, but here's why, that doesn't directly translate. And I was really surprised, actually. He knew way more than I thought he did.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like you got to get him in another language.
Yeah.
That's Max's mom, Jenny, who I'm instructing to get her son into a second language class ASAP. She said that he's worked on learning Japanese and Korean, too. But none of that is what Max wants to talk about today.
We're here to talk about your teen gayness. Is that your understanding?
Yes, that is my understanding.
Okay. So, how do you identify?
So I identify as gay and he, him pronouns.
Teen gayness. Is that the right term? Probably not, but we're going with it. Max is going to share just a little bit about being a gay teen, and Jenny will pipe in about parenting a gay teen. Max patiently answers my first stupid question. He's only 13, so how does he know he's gay?
How do you know that you're gay?
I mean, how do you know that you're straight?
I am attracted to men.
Same.
Was there a time that you could remember where you were like, oh, I think I'm attracted to men?
Actually, I have this vividly.
Really?
Yeah, so I was in 4th grade and I just came to Arizona and there was this guy and we were friends and I was talking to him and then I was I would date him. I don't know.
Teens might be the most difficult interviewees because I've only asked one question and already Max is distracted by his phone.
What are you looking at?
My notifications.
Is your phone constantly attached to your hand?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? All the time?
Maybe.
Okay, getting back on track. He realized, oh, I would date that guy. So then what?
How did you feel about that?
I mean, because of the way I was raised, I was like, okay. And I mean, I did hide it for a little bit, but also it was around the time where your child came out to me first as, oh God, what did he even come out to me as?
Maybe pan.
No, it was a lesbian.
Okay. So did that get you kind of thinking? Like
that kind of, yeah. I feel like that definitely helped my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
My kid, too, has had their own journey on the road of self-discovery. And since they're a year older than Max, they paved it for him a little bit. But I wanted to rewind to what Max said initially. Because of the way he was raised, he felt okay with that fourth grade realization.
You were like, okay. So what do you mean about the way that you were raised?
Like, I wasn't raised in like a homophobic environment. Like, my mom was very adamant to me about, like, she didn't hide the fact that gay people existed. She didn't protect the children. She told me, she was like, that's normal. It's just how someone likes another person. Mm-hmm. And that was really how, because I wasn't told that it was like a bad thing. It was just normal. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So when Max had that moment, he already knew such things were a possibility. They were normal. There was nothing to be afraid or ashamed about. But coming out still felt a little hard.
I was kind of forced to come out. I just got my computer and I was on YouTube and I was watching a video about coming out in middle school and how it went. And then my dad walks in and I like quickly pause it because I'm not allowed to be on YouTube at this time. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what were you watching? And I'm like, nothing. He's like, show me. I was like, is there anything you need to tell me? And I don't tell him anything. So then later I end up telling my mom and I'm like, don't tell dad. And then later up I end up telling dad. And that was when I thought I was pan, so I was still attracted to girls.
Okay.
And then I was like, no, I'm gay.
Mm-hmm. So you came out as pan initially to your parents.
That was a lie.
Did you know it was a lie right then, or you're just figuring it out still?
I was definitely figuring it out.
Yeah. Why didn't you want to tell your dad initially?
Honestly, I thought he was homophobic.
Really?
Because I didn't know David was queer.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
He didn't know that his uncle, his dad's brother, was queer. So basically, he just didn't know what his dad felt about it. Here's Jenny.
He was 10. He was getting ready to go into like junior high. So almost 11, I guess. And that's how we found out, is Matt saw him looking at a YouTube video of like how to come out in junior high. And so Matt just was like, is there anything you want to talk about? And Max had already come out to me like before that, just kind of in like a little, we were sitting in the room and he's like, hey mom, I'm gay. Like, okay. Mm-hmm. I still love you. Like, but nothing of that has changed. And so he was like, I didn't think it would. He knows, I'm very much an ally. And so I think he felt pretty safe coming out to me first, but he was like, I don't want to tell dad yet. And that was hard as a parent, and a partner, but I really wanted him to be able to do it on his own terms too.
Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't that long after.
No, it wasn't that long after, like maybe like a month later.
Yeah.
So was there anything your dad like said or did that made you think that about him, or?
No, I mean, like, it was just like a feeling, and like he never talked about like anything like that with me.
Right.
So I thought like it just made him uncomfortable. He didn't want to talk about it. So I like left it at there, just in the dark, afraid.
Yeah. How do you think he feels about it now?
I mean, I think he's fine with it. And I know for a fact that he loves me. Like, that's not anything. And he's very accepting.
Yeah.
Yes, Dad loves Max and is accepting, as is the majority of the extended family. But without knowing for sure that that's the case, kids can be scared to come out.
Yes. Most family members who know Max, just constantly remind him that he's loved and accepted. So I think he's okay. But and most of them have been great. Like even my own grandparents, who of course were, in a different era, have specifically told him like, we love you. And so that's good.
Max and his family tackled all that coming out stuff 3 years ago.
He's been out to us for so long, it's just kind of normal at this point.
Even though Max feels good about it, doesn't mean his peers agree there's nothing wrong with being gay.
Do you think it's a bad thing?
No.
No.
Do my peers? Some of them.
Really?
Yeah. At school, people like just see me as their target and they like focus all on it. And then I go tell the counselor, and then I get forwarded to the dean, and he basically is like, shut the up, this is dumb as shit.
So what do some students say to you about it?
Some students are just like generally curious, and some are like, ew, you're gay? That's disgusting. Are you sure you're not in denial? And I really wanted to respond with, denial's a river in Egypt.
What do they think you might be in denial about?
Me being gay. And then other kids are like, do your parents know you're gay? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Probably not denial or confusion.
Obviously, you've known Max since day one. Like for Matt and I, there's always just been kind of like, well, maybe he is. And if he is, great. And if he's not, great. And, like it was always just kind of there. And so we weren't necessarily like surprised.
But I also hesitate to say things like it's obvious. That feels like stereotyping. And I know not all people are somehow obviously gay from a young age. But in Max's case, it wasn't a shock to his parents. Let's return to those questions he gets from other middle schoolers.
How do you answer genuine questions? Like when you feel like somebody isn't being rude, they just are curious. How do you answer those questions?
When someone's like genuinely curious or like asking me a question because they don't understand it, I like very easily explain it. Like, give me a question, please.
Okay, let's see. Well, I guess like the question I started with, right, was like, how did you know you were gay? Mm-hmm. What other questions do you get from other students?
I get questions like, what does it mean when someone's non-binary? And like other things. Mm-hmm. Or like, I had a question from a friend, and it was like, so I really like this person, but they're non-binary and they were born as a woman. And then he was like, am I still straight? And I was like, that's really how you perceive, you and your partner really, how you perceive each other. Because it could just be a like flip-flop thing where you like someone, you don't like someone.
Yeah.
As a representative of the out LGBTQ community, Max finds himself answering questions related to the whole spectrum. This one was, if I'm a man and I like someone who's non-binary, am I straight? The answer he shared is, it's up to you. How do you perceive yourself and each other together? Maybe you're straight, or maybe you're momentarily unsure about that because of this person that you like. So those are the kind of genuine questions he's asked, but also mentioned just being a target.
Your dad told me about some kind of bus incident. Was that
what
happened on the bus?
There was these 7th graders, and they were all just like being rude, and they were like throwing stuff at people on the bus. Like, I literally caught like an open Reese's, and then I watched another kid smear Reese's all over this other kid's hair. And I was like, why are you doing this? This is dumb as shit. And he was just like, why not? And then I was like, you're gonna get in trouble. And then he was like, does it look like I'm listening to you? And I was like, okay, don't. And then after that, I would see them like almost every single day because I went on my bus, and they would just like throw rocks at me. And they would throw rocks at me while I'm going home. And then this one kid was like, he was really infatuated with Andrew Tate. So he would just come up to me and ask me like every 30 seconds, what color is your Bugatti? Because I guess it's like an Andrew Tate thing. I would just get like stuff like that. So I eventually told one of my friends that goes on the same bus as me, and she started just walking with me to where I like break off to go home, because we don't really have like buses that pick us up in the direct spot. We kind of go certain ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, that worked out.
It did.
Yeah.
He told his friend, and he got backup on his walk to and from the bus. But he also got parental backup.
Because he rides the bus where
Right.
there's like this little jerky kid that like would try to trip him every time he walked on the bus and would call him a fag and, you know, those sorts of things. So that one we did escalate to the school. Parents got involved. The kid got like suspended from riding the bus. Parents were mortified when they found out what their kid was doing. So those sorts of things have been kind of what I've seen from Max as far as what he's experiencing, just kids being jerks.
The only thing that I really decide to do when I like encounter that, I will either try to figure it out myself, or I will go to the like principal or like any admin.
Good.
He figures it out himself or goes to an admin at school. There have also been incidents outside of school.
We had an instance last year. Max and I were coming home, and these kids were riding by on bikes, and one of them was like, gay, super loud. And Max is like, they do this all the time. So I yell at the kid. I was like, you want to come back here and, you know, say that? Of course, they keep riding. But I come inside and I tell Matt, you know, what happened. And maybe 20 minutes later, those same kids come running or riding their bikes back by the house. So Matt goes outside and has a conversation with these kids. And just, of course, then because Matt is, you know, a giant, they immediately back down. Oh, we didn't say anything. And I was out there like, yes, you did. You liars. Yes, you did. So Matt just told them like, that's unacceptable. And you're bullying my kid. If this continues, we're going to take it to the school, you know, and if your parents have an issue, send them over. We'd be happy to have a chat. Of course, those parents never came by, but those kids have left him alone pretty much since then.
Mom and Dad will step in when needed, and of course, if they hear something with their own ears. Oh, kids better watch out for the burning rage of a parent.
Plugged in, polarized, fist raised in anger, staring down, don't meet the eye.
So if that's the trouble that he faces, what's Max's friend group like?
Like, do you have straight friends or gay friends or other identities predominantly?
It's like a mosh pit.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't really like excluding people that don't deserve to be excluded. Mm-hmm. Like people that are genuinely nice people don't just get to be not in my friend group because they're not gay. Other people that I've been friends with were like, ew, they're straight. And I was like, okay, so that's who I'm not going to be friends with. So from there, my friend group is basically, there's a mix. There's like straight people, there's trans people, there's gay people, there's queer people, there's non-binary people. It's just people.
Okay. But if they're straight, they have to prove that they're nice.
I mean, if they're queer, they also have to prove that they're nice. Everyone has to prove that they're nice. If they're mean, why would we be friends with them? Last week, I had to stop being friends with a girl because she was an asshole.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about that?
Sure.
Oh, it's like a whole ass story. So there was this girl. She was basically in our friend group, not by choice. So we had this friend, but she brought along and we did not like because on the first day we met her, she was talking about a teacher, and you want to know what she says? I hate that teacher. She's a fat bitch. No, exactly. And then later on, she literally called me twink. She called me a fag. You can bleep those. And then she started saying the T slur. She called a kid a cotton picker. And then another kid a border hopper.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's the T slur? You could just spell it. He's looking on his phone so he can show me. Okay, got it.
We would call her out whenever she would say, like, homophobic things.
Yeah.
And she would be like, oh, well, it was just a joke. So from there, we were like, boo. Mm-hmm. And then eventually every single one in that friend group that was, like, actually close with her or, like, talked to her on a daily basis, we were all like, I don't want to be friends with you. You're mean. And you're, like, really mean. Mm-hmm. And then she went out and she started making all of these rumors about me and, like, her other friends that, like, dropped her. Like, she made a whole ass lie saying that we were toxic and horrible and that we only didn't like her because she was straight and white. Sorry.
I mean, maybe because she's straight, white, and mean.
I mean, he's got a pretty good, like, tight group of friends. They're all girls, so, you know, they're all ready to attack if someone, like, goes after their friends. I think they take care of a lot of it for him. But girls are bitches, so, like, that's okay in this case.
You mean loyal. They're hella loyal.
Yes, they're hella loyal. They will have his back. So they do a lot of the dirty work for him.
Max is 13, you guys, so he's still new to liking people and dating and all of that. He knows this one thing about himself, but there's still lots more to discover.
I've never had a boyfriend. I had a guy that was obsessed with me that I told you about, and that was frightening.
Have you liked anybody enough that you would want them to be your boyfriend?
Yeah, and then I got over them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I've liked people, and then I tell them, and they're like, oh, I didn't like you back.
Oh.
It was very devastating.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
No.
Oh, yes, I know that feeling. It's devastating. Here's something Jenny talks about with Max.
Especially when he, like, first came out to us, we've talked about a lot of different things, just relationships, you know, what he does if he likes someone and maybe that person's not gay, and talking about consent, of course, and not dating just someone just because they're gay, because he has this one kid that likes him and he's like, he's not cute, mom. And I'm like, okay, well then don't let him think that you like him, you know, and don't feel like you have to date him just because he's, like, the only other gay kid or whatever. Making sure that he, like, you know, knows his worth and isn't settling and that sort of stuff.
Social media is a big part of most teens' lives, but it is especially for Max because he's so tech savvy and so friendly. If you're an old like me, your brain probably goes to all the scary stuff around teen use of the internet. But this episode is about teen gayness specifically. So let's see if I can get Max to talk about who and what he follows.
You're like a social media person, right?
I am.
So what apps have you used?
Mainly, I use Instagram, TikTok, Messenger, and then whatever messaging application of the week my friends use.
Okay, and where did that just come from?
My phone. I got a message.
Do you have specific, like, either topics or people that you follow that you really like?
On TikTok, I prefer just to follow, like, I like to follow people I know, people that I actually like, and, like, influencers that have, like, priorities I support, like, or, like, activists and then like other places. Sorry, these are so good.
Are they?
I love them.
Max just put a cough drop in his mouth and claims that it tastes good. He set up this interview, the microphone, the software, but for some reason is oblivious that you can't talk well with a candy in your mouth. Back to who he follows.
Queer creators, queer focused resources. Yeah.
Now, would you say all of the ones you follow are queer?
No, some of them are straight. I'm a straight ally.
What did you learn about being queer from the internet?
There was like, I wouldn't call it misinformation, but there were people's opinions that I followed so specifically. Like there were like things that were like, you're not gay unless you do this. Or like...
You're making noises.
I know, I was trying to do it quietly.
It doesn't work that way.
Now he's folding the cough drop's paper wrapper. There's this episode of Modern Love called Am I? Maybe This Quiz Will Tell Me. And the middle school protagonist repeatedly takes an online quiz to figure out what's going on with her. That's what I think of when Max explains what he calls misleading information.
If you do this, you're not gay, or you are gay, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, there was just stuff like, if you do this, are you really gay? And like, I would follow those like religiously just because I was like, I would say I was insecure with the way that I perceived my own sexuality. And I was just like, I knew who I was, but at the same time, I didn't.
What have you discovered since then?
For a lot of people, being queer, being gay, it comes as a spectrum. It's in different waves. It's just fluidity in many ways, and it's no set thing. Because over time, I would say your feelings do change, and that could also include attractions and people you are attracted to.
Mm-hmm, true. So obviously, being gay means you are a man who's attracted to men. Mm-hmm. Does it mean anything else to you? Like about, you know, the way that you express yourself, or I don't know, anything else about you beyond that?
For many people, it comes as two things. It's either I can trust that person with things that are like close to me, or it's don't ever talk to him, don't even like do anything.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't dig into this, and I wish that we had, because it gets to the community and social relationship aspects of identity, that being queer is not just a sexual identity. There's interconnectedness between it and literally all the other parts of your life. Wearing that identity means that you can trust some people and be trusted by them. Or on the other side, your identity automatically means some people don't want to talk to you. What I was trying to get to with Max is whether he felt any pressure to present as a specific type of human based on his queerness. But what he thinks of is the places he's excluded because of it. His example is gaming.
Does it impact like the things that you're interested in, or the way that you dress, or the way that you act, or like anything?
There are some things that I'm interested in, but like I couldn't really get into it because like say a community around it was just like no. Like there was a game that I liked, but I was who I was. And the community said no, so
What game was it?
it was like, it looked really cool. It was like an RPG game. And then I haven't heard of it since. So I think it also got shut down.
Do you feel like your life is going to be any different than your straight friends as you grow up?
As I'm growing up, yeah, I think there have been experiences that only I've been put into compared to my straight peers and like straight friends.
Like what?
Like just homophobia and using something in such a deep way that I literally cannot control to go after me for that.
Like, one of the things that we talked about, when he was coming out to us and stuff like that was just like, hey, we don't live in San Francisco anymore. So the level of acceptance is going to be completely different than what you may have experienced in the Bay. We live in Arizona. It's just a different climate here. But also that, we also can't come to his rescue for every single time someone calls him like a name or, things like that. But that if he ever feels like his safety is in question, that's when we're going to step in.
Right.
Because kids at that age, regardless, if you're different in any kind of way, you're a target, So we can't, and some of that is just life. And that sucks, but he's going to have to kind of learn how to navigate some of that. That's kind of where we're at with it. Is we know some of that is going to take place. He's pretty confident in who he is. He doesn't really seem to like let it get him down too much. And we've just told him, when he does tell us about instances that occur, we kind of ask him like what direction he wants us to go. Like, do you want us to get involved? And he'll either say yes or no. And we let him kind of lead that. I do worry once he goes to high school, I think it's going to get probably a little worse for him, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's got a good group of friends who kind of have his back. And so I think the fact that he doesn't have to like navigate it by himself probably makes it easier for him.
Okay, you can come in.
Well, I mostly just wanted to stare at you ominously.
Okay.
But also, did you steal my AirPods?
They're right here.
No, they were in this chair.
That's my kid. They came in and joined us in the office. He and Max love each other so much and also drive each other insane.
You yelled at me for making too much noise when you were supposed to be awake this morning.
I mean, first of all, it's kind of a dick move to be super loud when somebody's sleeping right next to you.
I wasn't being super loud. I was looking for something. And your alarm already woke me up before.
So I asked the two of them what they want parents and other old people to know about being a gay teen.
I'm not different. And in that way, I shouldn't be used as like, me being gay shouldn't be used as like an attack method. And I am just like your child. We were born in the same year, probably. We go to the same school. We even have the same classes. We are breathing the same air and all this other stuff. And just one thing about me makes me so different in that way that I think if they use that to hate on me, it's stupid. And if you are a parent that hates on your child for being queer, shut up. It is literally the tiniest, not even an inconvenience to you. We live in a floating rock. Thank you.
That is so real, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Max said it all. Like, we literally live on a floating rock. This should not be an inconvenience to anyone. Nobody is harmed because I'm queer.
We're not attacking you.
Yeah, we're not attacking you because we're queer.
We're attacking you because you're homophobic. Okay.
Yeah, like, we're not hurting you by existing.
Actually, we have a question for you.
Oh?
How is it as a parent for a queer teen?
Well, I would agree with everything you said, that having a queer teen is basically the same as having any other kind of teen.
Okay, I was not prepared for this question, so what I answered first was what is confusing raising a gay teen, and we'll get to that in a minute. But what I want to say now is how incredibly awesome it is. I mean, parenting a child who is confident and comfortable enough in middle school to say, hey, I'm not straight, or I'm not cisgender, is fun and exciting and makes you rethink everything about life. These kids are visionaries, and we're just along for the ride. It's like get on board or get left behind. Here's what Jenny would want other parents and old people to know.
Well, there's nothing to be afraid of, I guess, is maybe like the first thing. There's nothing wrong with your kid. There's, when Max came out to me, I was sad, but not because he was gay or anything like that. I was sad because I knew that he was going to live a life where people judged him for who he was and would treat him cruelly. And I will do what I can to try and change that, but that's just the way the world is. That part made me sad. None of the whole like, oh, I won't see him, give me grandbabies and all that sort of thing. Like that was like the furthest thing from my mind, was more just his struggles. But once they come out to you, I think that's like the hard part. Loving them is all you have to do after that. That's your job as a parent, is just to love them. So yeah, just do that. That's my advice. Love your kid for who they are.
Just do that.
Just do that. Don't try to fix them or anything. They know who they are. Let them, lead the way, and then you're just there to love and support them.
Love them. Not hard. They're our babies, and they're your babies. But what is a tiny bit hard is learning new language, and these kids try to have patience with us.
I mean, you guys both know that the language and everything has changed and expanded since we were teens ourselves. So there is like a catch up of like understanding all the different types of sexuality and gender identity.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
So that can be confusing.
I would say for that, if you ask your child and they explain it to you, make sure you listen.
Yeah. I feel like what a lot of parents do when like teens try to explain things to them is they like argue about it, and they're like, oh well, it wasn't like that for me when I was a teen, and like going out of their way to not evolve, and like don't do that.
Some people ask for education, or
and then they get
to
mad
be educated,
when they get educated,
or they disagree with the way that it is or how it's being explained.
Yeah. Like what?
Like my father, explaining things to him, it can get complicated because sometimes it's not a response, but it's an excuse of, there was only like 3 things back in my day.
Also, I feel like when it comes to like learning new things, it shouldn't be like, oh, this is like too confusing. Like, it should be a thing that you want to learn. Like, you should be going out of your way to catch up on this, and it shouldn't be something that you find as an inconvenience and more like an opportunity.
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Max, to me, I think one of his like greatest gifts is his empathy. He is always looking out for the feelings of others. He's always championing like friends or family members who maybe use different pronouns and things like that. He is constantly correcting people. He's constantly like making sure that they like, love and accept his friends for who they are, how they identify. But he's just really in tune with people's feelings, and he's just a really loving kid. I think that's one of the coolest things about Max.
Yeah. The attention to language and pronouns and names and very specific identity labels comes from a desire to understand and to show respect. I left the kids alone to talk about whatever they wanted to.
Okay, what's something thoughtful?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like...
Also, both of their dads decided to rock out to Phoebe Bridgers in the main room, so you're going to hear that in the background. Here's my kid, currently called Eddie.
Being trans and queer is also kind of like a different experience. Because, like, I've definitely faced, like, some forms of, like, transphobia at school. Like, more so than I've experienced homophobia.
Dude, I've experienced transphobia too, and I'm not even trans.
Yeah, which just shows how shitty being trans is in America.
It also shows how low people are educated. Mm-hmm. People were like, so if you're gay, does that mean you're a girl now?
Oh my god!
Those are 2 separate things.
Those are so
Same
different.
here.
Like, oh god, yeah, no, I mean, like, my PE class is kind of a nightmare. Like, I have some other queer friends in my class that are so cool, But, like, there are some people that we've had to dealt with where, like, they've said things to me that, like, made me feel so, like, terrible. Like, and I've, like, overheard conversations of people just being, like, blatantly transphobic. And it's like, how can you say that shit knowing you're sitting right next to a trans person? Like, it's just f***ed up, you know? Oh yeah, and bathrooms are weird as a trans person.
Bathrooms are weird as a gay man.
Yeah, bathrooms are just freaking weird when you're queer.
I'm scared to clean bathrooms at school.
Yeah, no, me too. Like, I'm so glad that my 4th period is right across from the gender-neutral bathroom because,
you're
like...
just lucky.
Yeah, I am lucky.
We don't have those. I
It's
want
right
to
next.
ask if I can
All
use
the gender-neutral ones are right next to the staff bathrooms. But it's really weird because, like, there are some buildings where, like, there isn't a gender-neutral bathroom nearby, but there is a staff bathroom, but we can't use the staff bathrooms.
I mean, obviously.
But it's just, like, it would be really convenient if staff bathrooms could just be gender-neutral bathrooms. Or at least be available to, like, trans kids.
I know only of 2 teachers that I think would actually be cool with, like, someone using the staff bathroom under their key.
Only my fourth period teacher has, like, on one occasion let me use the staff.
There was a long conversation about navigating the bathroom situations.
Yeah. She was like, okay, you can pee, I guess. Oh, also the gender-neutral bathroom is usually the only bathroom that actually has tampons in the dispenser, so that's helpful. Almost all the other bathrooms, the thing is empty, but the gender-neutral bathroom comes in clutch.
Mainly because the straights don't use it.
I guess so. I don't know.
What we've experienced in the school system is relative ease in navigating some things that might be a huge hassle or even traumatizing elsewhere. As Eddie said, they have access to a gender-neutral bathroom and changing room for PE. They can change their name at any time, though it might take a minute for the secretary to find the form online. Of course, it's not perfect, and those days the substitute called the wrong name at roll call were slightly upsetting. But in general, they have it pretty good.
You're lucky you can get your name changed. For school?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know that a lot of people can't do that, but...
Because my friend, Astro, he's been trying to get his name changed for a whole year. And the school has done nothing about it. And he's even, like, gone to the counselor to, like, complain and, like, say, I want my name changed. Or put it in the system as a nickname. And they just won't.
And that is bullshit. Like, the school should be doing that. It is horrible that isn't just, like, a basic accommodation for people.
Well, the thing is, you're telling me that they can set some girl's name as Bella when her name is Andrea, but you can't set someone's name as Astra.
It is such bullshit. No, I swear that some schools just go out of their way to not be accessible for people.
Both of these teens have a lot of support. Parents, other close adults like extended family and friends, medical care, mental health care, some teachers, admin, or other school staff.
Do you have a counselor that you're, like, friends with?
I have a counselor, but I don't really like her. She's not great.
I have a counselor too.
Like,
I don't
at
like
school.
her. She's my main counselor at school.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's separated through groups.
I prefer the nurse over my school counselor.
Oh, that's the exact opposite for me. Anyways.
My school's nurse is great. She's, like, basically my counselor.
Become friends with that counselor, and it will happen a lot easier.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I've seen her a couple times, and apparently I have to start, like, seeing her for, like, a weekly check-in, which kind of sucks because I don't really like talking to her, but she has snacks, so. And also I get to miss a class period for it, so.
I get to miss a class period, but that's just because I'm always in the counselor's office for something.
I'm like always in the nurse. I've like missed so many class periods due to like panic attacks. The nurse knows me so well.
So they know where to find help if they need it, and they know who has the good snacks.
Are you in trouble?
You in the middle of saying something important?
Sort of. Why?
We need to have a chat with you
Why?
in private.
Okay. About what?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But finish your thought.
Oh no, my thought is done.
Okay, good.
Are you in trouble?
My kid acts like we're hella mean, but we were just interrupting to talk in private about whether it was time to go home or keep the party going another night. We decided to head home, so we shut down the office studio and packed our bags. But there were a couple more things that I talked about with Jenny. The first is just setting up an honest relationship with your teen so that they will want to talk to you about all of this and more.
I read something like a while ago that stuck with me where it was like, if your kid is afraid to come to you about like small things, they're not going to come to you about the big things. And you want to be the person that they feel safe coming to and not afraid. And that really like sat with me. Like, I don't want them to be afraid of my reaction. I want them to come to me to help them work through things. And so I've really been trying to be more intentional with that and not like react when they mess up or react, when I don't agree with something, because that is my goal as a parent. I want them to come to me because I can help and not for any other reason. So.
Right. The last thing we talked about is handling family that is not supportive of your queer teen, family that says hurtful things about or to your child. Jenny, like many, many parents, has experienced this and had to make decisions to protect her kid and herself.
There have been close family members who did not act favorably when they learned of Max's sexuality and tried to quote scripture to him and tell him why those things were wrong. They did all of this without talking to me first. Mm-hmm. And I got very upset when that happened and had to explain to Max that that's not how everyone, feels. But as a result of that, someone he was very close to, he now has no relationship with. But I'm not going to force him to be involved with family members who do things like that to him. Like, you shouldn't be quoting that he's an abomination and then go have Thanksgiving dinner at their house. It's not going to happen. So, so we have separated ourselves from that particular, group of family members.
Honestly, I don't want to dwell on the ways people can be violent toward LGBTQ children. That is all quite well documented. But I think folks can change their views and regret what they've done. So what steps could they take to repair a relationship?
I think, first of all, acknowledging what they said was wrong, and apologizing for that. And I think those two things can go a long way. Like, yeah, I f***ed up, like you said, like that what I said was wrong. I shouldn't have said it to you. Yeah, that's what we need in this case, both Max and me. Acknowledgement. Like, yeah, we said this, it was wrong. We love you. We accept who you are. Those things I think would be what could help repair the relationship. Mm-hmm. Max may have more that he would need to kind of move forward. I'm not totally sure, but I think those things would be a good start.
Yeah, that would be the bare minimum to possibly consider repairing the relationship.
Yeah. Sending a Christmas gift, that's no.
Nope. We need actions, words and actions.
Yeah, acknowledgement. That's where you can't buy your way out of this. So.
Well, there you go. Acknowledge what you did and apologize. You're an adult person. You can do that, right? A tiny bit of advice from me, a parent, not an expert. If you want to get to know a teen in your life, you can always ask, what pronouns would you like me to use? Or how do you prefer I refer to you? Or regarding a gender or sexual identity, can you tell me more about XYZ? I want to learn. Do it in private. And if they don't know or don't seem comfortable, you can say, it's okay. If you don't want to talk about it now, just let me know when you're ready. These kids are confident in themselves. Maybe they don't know exactly where they're headed, because none of us do at that age, but they're stoked to figure it out. So on behalf of all the parents of gay teens, please treat them with kindness and respect. We're all just living on a floating rock. So if we don't understand, let's lead with listening. Because as the teen said, look at learning as an opportunity, not an inconvenience.